One time.
Well, speaking about that uncertainty, you and I were just talking the other day, just kind of kicking around about Trump's Attorney General nominee, Jeff Sessions from Alabama.
Yeah.
I want to bring everybody else into the mix of this conversation because I thought it went into an interesting space because you made me think about a side to this that I hadn't really, but Sessions, he's very anti-weed, of course. We know that. We've talked about it on the show. But he's also turning 70 years old on Christmas Eve. He was in an Alabama high school in the early 60s, so I guess we can kind of imagine what his drug education was like in 1961-62 in the American South. At the same time, that was a long time ago. We've learned a lot about weed. Why hasn't Sessions come around even the slightest to this idea of legalization? But kind of pick us up. I mean, that's interesting when you think about this man who is about to turn 70, and you think about his own education on this plant. And should we be surprised that he's so anti-marijuana when his education was what it was?
Yeah, I mean, imagine growing up in Selma, Alabama in the 60s. I mean, he was born, I think, in 46, so, being 20 years old in 1966 in Alabama.
Sure.
I mean, his worldview is shaped in such a way that we've progressed so far since then, and he's probably still rooted in that experience, I would imagine. And like everybody else, over the last 80 years that have been hit over the head with the propaganda that cannabis is horrible and dangerous and all of these things, never mind the fact that, you look at what the taxes are like in Colorado and California, you look at the jobs. I mean, I believe I was reading actually on the cannabis, there's about 150,000 jobs in the cannabis industry, which is bigger than GM.
Wow.
So, not to speculate, but, the opiate use seems to be down in certain areas where it's accessible.
Early scientific studies say that it is,
and that's a good
in
thing.
medical marijuana states, yeah.
And that's a good thing because people are not overdosing to death from cannabis. So, it's fascinating. I hope that he. I've been seeing in the news a lot of people talking about, speculating about what he's going to do, how he's going to behave, and all these things. And different organizations that have gone actually to his office on Capitol Hill, and I find it kind of, like we need to have a better approach to it, and instead of trying to hit him over the head, I think it'd be nicer to sort of, if he's interested, to have people reach out to him and explain to him. And maybe I'm being naive, but I think there's probably a constructive way to show him how it's helping children with extreme epilepsy and various other issues, and so I think I'm hopeful that Trump will be true to the fact that he said he's going to allow the states to let it play out, but we'll see.
I know.
I'm hopeful.
You have to be hopeful, right? And in this conversation, because Sessions could potentially have a lot more power than he's ever had, and he's been in a position of power for quite a while now. You're a serving congressman, and then suddenly you're the nation's top law enforcement officer, and if you're operating on a standard that is so outdated, like you said, we can't hold it against him that he was raised when he was raised, where he was raised.
Yeah, but he's got to get educated like everybody else. I mean, the propaganda has been rough on everybody, unfortunately.
Sure.
For various agendas that that made it what it was. But we don't need to get into all that. And I don't mean to speculate about him because I really don't know that much about him, and I don't want to offend anybody that may have very strong feelings about him either way.
Sure.
But I'm hopeful that level heads will prevail, and that the right approach will happen that'll be beneficial for our economy and for those of us that enjoy cannabis.
Let me tell you something I know about Jeff Sessions, which you may not know. Ellen, you might not know this, but when I was looking up, how old is he? Was he born in Alabama? All that good stuff. I found out his full name. Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III.
Ooh.
So this isn't just Jeff Sessions.
Yeah.
This is Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III.
That's a noble name.
I know that's a lot to deal with.